Hey everybody, and welcome back to another book review. I just finished Ace of Spades by Faridah Àbíké-Íyímídé. I literally listened to her say her name like 5 times and I still butchered it. I am so sorry. But this was a book recommendation, I think last year, from a good friend and coworker of mine. We share books all the time, so she was telling me that she was looking at getting this book, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like an interesting book." And then I saw like an ad for it or something on socials, and I was like, maybe. So I added it to my list, not expecting to get to read anytime soon because, as we know, I'm working through the list slowly. But I was like, it is Black History Month, so obviously we have to include some Black authors, and especially some newer Black authors. So the book Ace of Spades, I started out listening to it on audiobook, and the audiobook, I know that actors work really hard with audiobooks and stuff to make them palatable to listen to, and some books are easier than others just because of the content. This book is written from two different angles. First off, so the main characters are Chiamaka and who they call Chi. Most people in the book call Chi, and the other is Devon, who some people call D, some people call Vaughn. It just kind of depends on the characters, but so it's read by two different people, and both were trash. At least on the Audible book, it was trash. It was like real bad, and so the only reason I started listening to it on audiobook is because I was like, I don't have a physical copy of the book. So then I got a physical copy of the book, so it's fine. But like, outside of the audiobook being bad, the book was real good, and I really couldn't stop like listening to it. Like once I got past the annoyance of their voices, I was like, I actually can't stop listening to this. This is really good. So I listened to it, and then I went back and like reread a good chunk of it because I was just like, wait, okay, let me replay that piece of it. It's a really good book. And then the other part of it was, at first, I did not want to even like it because of the way that it's written. So the story is loosely kind of based on Gossip Girl. And so basically these characters are all at a super preppy high school. That's like, like one of those high-end schools, everybody wears uniform, all the thing. And they are the only two Black people at this school of all white people. There's like nobody else. There's no Hispanics, no Asians. It's literally just these two people. And so it seems like they've had, pretty decent time, not perfect, but a decent time at their school. And so one of them is looking forward to becoming a doctor and, going to Yale and all those things. And the other, he's really planning on going to Juilliard for composition and all that stuff. And so you just like, you're like, oh yeah, they're doing really well. And then they start getting these random text messages from somebody called Aces. And at first I think it's one person, and then we discover throughout the story that it is more than one person. It's really just kind of a lot of moving pieces and moving parts and stuff like that. It's just, it was so well written, and I liked that she kind of brings in a lot of things that we don't talk about enough, which is systemic racism, especially when it comes to education and elite private schools. A lot of elite private schools, some by design, some not, don't admit a ton of people who are in minorities, with the exception of, like, oh, there's the scholarship kids, or kids who, make it look good. The picture kids, like, oh, we do have diversity. Here's the one Hispanic and the one Asian. Like, that's kind of how, a lot of these elite private schools are, is what the author is saying. And at first I kind of struggled with it because I did, do some research and stuff, some digging on the author. And I'm like, she's from London. Like, what does she know about American systemic racism, blah, blah, blah. And in her author's notes in the book, she talks about how she came about writing the book, and that she wrote it because she grew up in the British version of the hood, and around tons of black people and things like that. And then she went to school in Scotland and was like one of very few black folks there, and how suddenly when she got to school, everybody was like, oh, can I touch your hair? How does it grow like that? Like things like that. And I get it. Like people have done that to me, and I didn't go to an elite private school, but I did go to private school. So I get some of that, and we had some of that, not a ton. And I think part of it was just because we were such a small, tight-knit group of humans. But we even did it to each other, like I remember when there was one conversation, my friend Elise, we were all talking, and we kind of got on her quite a bit, partially about her hair. She I don't think she had a relaxer, but I think she had a texturizer or something. And overall she just had nice hair, and it was long and lengthy and healthy, and I never had that. I still don't have that. And just kind of like the whole concept of like, oh, you've got good hair and stuff like that. But it was also just a matter of a lot of us at this particular school, a lot of us lived in the neighborhood initially, or lived very close to the school within the neighborhoods around the school. And those are not wealthy neighborhoods. It was the hood adjacent, as I call it. So, a lot of us didn't grow up with a ton of money, but at least did. Or we, at least felt like she did. So, we always kind of just were on her about the fact that it's like, oh, you've got money, your family can afford these things, and like the rest of us can't. But like, it's stuff like that as people of color, as black people, we shouldn't do to each other. And a lot of it is exacerbated by the systemic racism that exists in some of these spaces. I remember like our 8th grade year, we got a new principal. And I did not like this man. I still respectfully to this day don't. But he was very, he had a military background for one, but he was all like, you can't have hair that, is this, and you can't have hair below a certain length, and you can't have, fake hair and all these things. And we're all like, okay, but we're black, so like we have braids, there was a lot of things that I was like, that's, creating this idea that we have to have certain elements, certain perfections, blah, 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 and those are things I think that, that black people and black women still struggle with, in the corporate world and things like that. Just the concept of, if your hair is not, a certain way, somebody's going to make a comment on it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not saying that, we can't do the things that we do, right? Like I get sew-ins, not a ton, but I do get sew-ins. I have one in right now. You could probably tell. But, like it's because, I like the way that it looks when it's that way. And I remember when I had a relaxer and, just like my hair was longer, at that time. And, now I've gone back to being natural. And, the process with that, and, people make comments on it, all the time. They're like, oh, your hair could kink up like that. I didn't know it could straighten like that, all these things. And it all just boils down to like how it makes us feel as, black people typically in white spaces. So, I really feel like the book definitely highlighted, a lot of that. And the author was explaining that she tried to make the story as neutral as possible, but it was very clearly American. but like, you know, she's also experienced that in her space. And so at first I was really upset with this idea, again, of another author that's talking about things that you don't know about. And, you know, it turns out she actually does know quite a bit about it because she's experienced it, you know. So yeah, it was overall a really good book. I won't give away, you know, too many spoilers or anything like that, because there was just so much happening in the book. There was a lot of moving pieces to it. And it was really good. And like I said, I just couldn't put it down. You know, it was one of those where you just can't put it down. At one point I was actually yelling at it. Like, you know, something happened between two characters and I went, he's going to shoot him. He's going to shoot him, or don't shoot him. I don't know. You know, like if I start yelling at a book, I don't think I've ever yelled at a book before. Except like at the end, because I was upset at the way that an author wrote something. But like this time I was like yelling at it because I was just so involved in the story. And I love when books make you feel super involved like that, and super, not really, I didn't really feel super attached to any of the characters, but like definitely was like, you know, rooting in one way, and then other times I'm like, oh, this girl's stupid. There were multiple times where I was like, this girl is stupid. You know, there were a couple things that I think, because this is the first book by the author, you know, I think there were some things that she probably could have hidden better or written better. It still had a lot. It still had several plot twists, and plot twists I didn't see coming necessarily, but there were also a lot of plot twists that I did see coming, and I was like, obvious. Stop. Very obvious. Obvious too. You know, just there was kind of an equal amount of obvious and not obvious for me. So, you know, I do think that, or I hope that she gets better over time. I definitely added her other books that she's written to my list because I'm just interested. I liked her style and everything. Low key 5 out of 5. I cannot see how somebody has not picked up this book yet for TV adaptation, movie adaptation. Definitely needs to be a TV adaptation, low key, like a mini series or something. Because it's good. It's good, and it reads you don't have to do much to get a script out of this book, or a couple scripts. Casting would be wild though. Casting would be wild, because like in my perfect world, all the people I would cast are way too old at this point. But you know, like main character, I was like, Zendaya. You know, there's a couple characters that you eventually find out are actually sisters, and I was like Dakota and Elle Fanning. Like, yeah, I was like, there are like all these descriptions and stuff that the author is using, and I'm just like, celebrity, right? And I'm like, and they're all way too old at this point. And I know, you know, like when we watch a lot of high school based shows or movies and stuff, you know, most of the people are well over the age to be actually in high school. But even still, you know, I was just like, there's so many options. So, you know, I think if you find the right mixture of you know, some new blood out there, I think we'd have a pretty interesting show. So yeah, I hope somebody picks this up, because it's actually pretty dope, and I would actually consider watching it. So there you have it. So yeah, long book review, but gosh, book was great. 5 out of 5, like I said. Ace of Spades, Faridah. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try on the last name, but her first name's Faridah. And yeah, just really great book. Love. I might go read it a third time. I don't know. Like, it was so good. It was so good. So good. So thank you as always for watching these reviews. Please like, comment, share. If you have more books to add to the list. The list is well over 100. Now that I went back through all of my, you know, messages and other comments and stuff and added things back to the list. But yeah, like, I'm sorry. I'm like really just happy with this book. And And of course, happy Black History Month. Hopefully you guys do like I do, and for each theme month, you know, try to read authors that kind of fall into those themes as well. So, so here we are, Black History Month. There you have it. Another awesome Black author. I love us. I love us. So there you have it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next book review. Bye.